I'm Julie Fei Fan Balzer, your host, and we all can use a little more time in our day. One of my favorite shortcuts is to start out with a kit. Everything you need is all in one place, and you're sure it will all go together. So this is it. This is my kit. It makes it super easy to make sure that I can use all those little leftover minutes of time in my day to make a little bit of art. Let me show you what's inside. So right in here, I have a couple different collages that I'm sort of in progress on working on. I have some blank paper as well. You can see things are very much in progress, and that's totally fine because the thing I like about this kit is it allows me to really play around and save time. I have my tools, which are a glue stick and a pair of scissors. And by the way, you can bring on airplanes any scissors that are under 4 inches. So this goes into my suitcase all the time. It's a great way to spend time on the airplane. Now in here, I have a couple of folders that are keeping me organized. You have to organize the way that your brain works. So this is my organization system, but if your brain doesn't work the same way, feel free to organize your papers totally differently. Now, what I have marked onto my folder tabs here is I have found papers, okay, and I have handmade papers. What's the difference? Well, if we open it up, I think I'll show you this, which is handmade papers are anything that I've painted. So that might be gelatin printed, doodled, stamped, you know, these are paste papers. But you can see when I start to pull these out, you know, they can be any weight of paper. Here I've got little scraps of deli paper that was done with stenciling and stamping. And I mean, when I say little scraps, I am keeping absolutely everything that I want. Even if I cut out a shape, and you can see how this was cut right there, that's where the heart came from. I keep all of these scraps because you never know when you might want to use them. In fact, you know, looking at this shape, I can see that it could go right on here. And let's do that, in fact. So I just take my glue stick. This is the beauty of a kit. It's all about serendipity. It's all those little moments when you never know what you're gonna find. So I just put the glue stick on the back, and I always use a glue stick on top of my collage. That way any excess glue goes onto the collage. And you can even do this in your car. You can do this in the waiting room of the doctor's office. You can do this, you know, while you're hanging out with some friends. I have been known if I'm eating someplace by myself to take the kit out of my tote bag and just put it on the table while I'm waiting for my food to arrive. You actually have a lot more time in your day to make art than you realize. So I have heavyweight papers that are stamped. I have, you know, all sorts of fun stuff in here that I might want to use. And I both like to rip and tear my papers. Let's see if we can add an edge to a collage here. Let's see, this looks like it could use, and I just audition pieces when I'm doing a collage. That looks great right there. I'm just gonna go ahead then and glue that on. But you can see that if you have 5 minutes, you can go ahead and just grab a random piece of paper and try to put it together. And what you'll have is by the end of the week or the end of the month, you'll have a bunch of different collages that can inspire you to do even more. So that's sort of what hand painted papers are. Let's take a look at found papers. So found papers are literally exactly what they sound like. They are papers that I found. So it could be scrapbook paper. You know, it's not paper that I designed. This is some printed tissue paper, which by the way, if you've never used printed tissue paper, I just want to show you this because I think it's unbelievably cool, which is if you put it on top of something, it's slightly translucent. So what will happen is you actually can see through it. In fact, let's put it right there to what is underneath. Isn't that cool? So now I'm not losing all of those layers. This is kind of like when we use translucent paint. They're still there, but I've kind of matted them down a little bit, put them into the background. So found papers could be book pages. Whenever I rent a car, I always say yes to the paper map, not because I need a map, but because I want to be able to cut it up and use it, okay? Tiny little scraps like this, I love black and white. And here's another glue stick tip, which is when I have small pieces like this, I like to actually just rub it across the top of the glue stick instead of flipping it over, because then the glue gets everywhere. Then this is super easy to take and to layer in wherever you want. Another glue stick tip is that glue sticks stick based on heat and pressure. So either make sure your hands are really warm and just leave them on top, or I have been known to sit on top of my collage because that is heat and pressure. So some other papers that are in here, we have maps, we also have wrapping paper. I am a hoarder of wrapping paper that you can also use wallpaper of all kinds, old letters and stuff like that. Sometimes I'll go to thrift stores and I'll just ask them if they have any old letters or postcards because I love that writing. You can get all kinds of really cool kids books that have wonderful illustrations which you can cut out. One of the tips I want to give you about hand cutting, okay, is I like to cut close to the image that I want to have come out, okay, so that I'm working with a smaller piece of paper. Then the other thing is I'm not gonna close my blade all the way, and I'm gonna feed the paper through the blade. So what you'll notice is my hand pretty much stays in the same place when I'm using the scissors, okay, but what I'm actually doing is feeding and turning the paper. So my left hand, or my non-dominant hand, is the one that's being really active here, and then my right scissor hand is just kind of holding things in place and opening and closing the blades only part of the way, never closing it all the way. But you can see that I can actually get this image out pretty quickly and easily. An important thing is to let go of perfection. You are not a machine, you are a human, and you are making handmade art, and it should feel that way too. So I have my little duck, and we can go through the auditioning process. Do I want to put a duck there or here or start something new? I kind of like the duck right there. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure I go right to the edges with my glue stick and throw it right on there. So, you know, you have lots of options, whether you're doing it, you know, hand doing it, or whether you are tearing it, cutting it. And remember, we don't want to throw this away because this could actually be really fun on another collage, because now I have this cool silhouette that I can kind of audition around. That actually is a really cool duck right there. Now, if you put something that hangs off the edge like that, one little tip is just flip your collage over, and then you can easily trim off the excess, or you can fold it to the back, whichever's easiest, and then you have a nice clean edge right there, exactly how you want it. And I love that little duck silhouette that's sort of fitting in there, which is cool too. So I hope you will try this time-saving tip of making kits for yourself to make art in all those little lost moments of time.